Okay, so in this lesson we're going to do how to change the strings on your electric guitar. I just did acoustic guitar in another lesson, so if you're looking for an acoustic guitar I suggest you go and find that one, it might be more appropriate. Also, if you have a Floyd Rose tremolo system, i.e. a floating tremolo, you need a separate lesson that's not from me, because none of my guitars have Floyd Roses and I think they're a pain in the bum. So we aren't going to be covering Floyd Rose tremolo systems. Maybe another time, if I can convince someone to give me a guitar, then I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so first thing, we're going to change now a B string. I've said this in the acoustic guitar, but just in case you're not checking that lesson, the point that you know that your strings need changing, generally I use the fingernail trick. So I just run the inside of my fingernail underneath the inside of the string there, and if I have a look at it and it's full of kind of black gunk, it's definitely time. If they go rusty or brown, it's definitely time to change strings. I know it's not cheap to change your strings all the time, but generally new strings, or especially if you're a beginner guitar player, it's a really good idea to change your strings pretty often, because when they go rusty they get pretty abrasive and they can take all of the skin off your fingers a bit quicker if you're sliding up and down. So fresh strings I reckon are the go. So what I'm doing now is we're changing the second string. I'll take off my little make poverty history thing actually just for now. And I've just had to unhook it from the tree. So I've got the B string here nice and loose. Now once it's loose I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to cut it in half. Excuse me if you've already seen the other video, but I'm going to repeat myself anyway. So I generally cut it in the middle. Now I use this little thing that's made by Planet Waves, which has got a string winder and a cutter at the same time, just because I kept breaking or losing one or the other, so this way I'm a bit more conscious of it. A very useful little tool, wasn't expensive either. So you might want to do that. Do not use regular scissors to cut your strings, and definitely don't use your mum's sewing scissors, because you will ruin them cutting metal strings. Make sure you get some wire cutters from the hardware store if you're not going to use a proper string cutter. Okay, so I've just taken off the main piece of string off from the tuning peg there. Now this is a Stratocaster sort of guitar, and if you've never changed strings before, you might be wondering what happens when it goes through into the body there. If you flip a Stratocaster type guitar over, now I've taken the pick plate off my guitar, so there's normally a piece of plastic there that you might have to unscrew. This is revealing the insides of a tremolo system, in case you haven't been curious and taken it off before. All my Stratocasters I just leave it off, to be honest, because it's just a bit of a bother to change strings. It doesn't really seem to protect very much, so I'd leave mine off. I think most of the guys I know that play Strats do the same thing, but that's not to say you shouldn't, it's up to you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the string down from this side, and the ball end will come out from the other, which we can then remove, and we've now got the string out. Now I'll just give you a little hint here, which is, I'll give you a couple actually. So the first one, like I said in the acoustic changing strings lesson, make sure you wind up your strings. Don't just leave them as big long sticks. Aside from poking through your bin liner and ripping the bag and making all your rubbish fall out, animals like to eat it. I had a cat that ate a piece of string once and poked it through a cheek. So especially if you've got animals, you might want to try and wind your strings up as much as you can so there's no sharp bits hanging out. And make sure you stick it in the bin right away. So actually I'm going to finish doing that later rather than wasting your precious YouTube video time, but try and wind it up as much as you can and give it to your mate Jedi to chuck in the bin. Cheers mate. Okay, now that was the first hint. The second hint is very often the string breaks down in here, and it's quite possible for the little ball to get stuck in the hole in there, and when it happens it's a real pain in the bum. It always happens when you're in a hurry to change your strings too, like just before a gig. Now the little trick for that is to get when you get your new strings out, get the thickest string, the big thick 6th string, and use that string to poke through from this side and poke the ball out the other side. Nearly always works if you use the 6th string, because it's so thick it's got a bit of strength to it to poke the ball out. So it's just a little handy hint along the way. So I get my new string out. Now I'll just mention again, I'm sorry for the plug, but I feel like I should. I use DR strings. I'm endorsed by them, but I used them for many years before I endorsed them, because I really think they're great strings. They sound awesome. I don't break strings very often. In fact, I haven't broken a string at a gig while I've been using DR strings, interestingly enough. So that, yeah, really good sounding strings, good quality. Definitely worth a look if you're not sure what strings to try. But they are pretty much of a muchness, I think. It's, okay, so we've got the end of our string here now, not the end with the ball on it, the pokey end, if you like. What we're going to do is we're going to poke that in the hole that we just took the string out from. So in this case it's the second string, so it's going to be second from the top. We're just poking that in the hole there. Now it should come out the other side. Yeah, there we go. So, and now it's coming out from the in between the little saddle pieces here. So I'm just going to pull that right through now. Now again, make sure you give it a bit of a jiggle. Make sure that it's right the way through, because sometimes if we just get a little bit, go a little bit closer on here, Jed. No, he's shaking his head. No, I can't go a little bit closer. Oh, because I'm in the wide shot still. Okay, we'll leave it for now. Actually, we'll come back to this after. But sometimes the ball can get stuck on the edge of the little hole there and sit there, and then it just flicks through later on and makes your guitar go out of tune. So it's definitely, really make sure that the ball's not sitting on the outside, that it's in its little cavity. Then we're just going to pull the string through here, right up, and get it up to the top end here near the pegs. Now, almost certainly now we're going to need to go for a close-up. So, Jed, if you could furnish me with a close-up on that tuning peg, please, sir.